Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I am Mazra Hassan. International Women's Day is observed on the 8th of March every year to appreciate women's efforts and celebrate their achievements in all spheres of life. This year, the theme for International Women's Day is Choose to Challenge, which means that until and unless we challenge our fears, there will be no change in society. As the world celebrates International Women's Day 2021, we here at News First wish all women out there a happy Women's Day. We have a comprehensive bulletin lined up for you today. First, headlines.
Area residents stage fast onto death in Valsapugala. 2 women joined the protest to mark the Women's Day. Women to be at all 3 protest sites in Delhi, India today. Am I under surveillance? Questions Canadian High Commissioner. All schools except for those in the Western Province to reopen next Monday. West Indies clinchers T20 series against Sri Lanka.
On to the lead story now. Canada's High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, David McKinnon, tweeted asking if he was under surveillance.
The Canadian diplomat was concerned that private meetings held at Canada House got media coverage when there was no media outside the residence at the time. 2 newspapers published details of the Bangladesh High Commissioner visiting the Canada House in Colombo. Further, local newspapers had also reported about the meetings the Canadian diplomat had with the British High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Sarah Halton, and South Korean Ambassador Woo Jin-jeong. Both Bangladesh and South Korea are member states of the United Nations Human Rights Council. When contacted by News First, police spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohana stressed members from the diplomatic community are not under surveillance. The Deputy Police Chief dismissed reports claiming that the Canadian High Commissioner was placed under surveillance in Sri Lanka.
Secretary of Defence retired General Kamal Gunaratne said that action will be taken against individuals who tarnish the image of women using social media. He expressed these views during an event in Colombo yesterday.
Defence Secretary retired General Kamal Gunaratne was the chief guest at an event organised to recognise the grand services rendered by women in Sri Lanka at the Lakshman Kadirgama Institute. The Defence Secretary assured that as a government, measures will be taken to resolve issues faced by women through social media platforms. He also recalled the yeoman service rendered by the female expatriates. The Abhimanliya song was also launched at the ceremony. Meanwhile, another event in line with the International Women's Day was held at Navula. The ceremony was organised by the women community of the Parliament and the Provincial Council Women's Community. An awareness campaign for International Women's Day was held at the main bus stand in Bastian Mawata, Colombo Fort. The campaign was organised by the Bureau for the Prevention of Abuse of Children and Women and were focused on creating awareness on various sexual discrimination faced by women travelling in buses. Senior Police Officer Darshika Kumari was also present at the event. Meanwhile, another International Women's Day celebration organised by the Seva Vanita unit of the Department of Civil Defence was held today. The event, which was held at the auditorium of the Department of Civil Defence, was attended by Rekha Senadira, the chairman of the Seva Vanita unit of the Department of Civil Defence.
Today is International Women's Day, and each year the 8th of March is regarded as a significant day for the female as it celebrates all women in their own true right. In Sri Lanka, that significance is no less. According to latest statistics, women make up 52% of Sri Lanka's total population. However, regardless of dominating the population, are women in Sri Lanka being treated with the respect and equality they deserve?
The struggle for equality was much imbued through a protest carried out by a group of women employed at a garment factory in America. In the year 1908, the spirited women marched through the streets of New York demanding 8-hour shifts to be introduced. What started in the streets of the 20th century in New York grew to become an international movement, and in the year 1910, the first official Women's Day was celebrated in Copenhagen, Denmark. By 1911, most nations, including Sri Lanka, had accepted International Women's Day. Women in the contemporary age face much greater hardships and strife than ever before. Sri Lankan women employed overseas are crucial contributors to our economy. Our country ranks 71st among the total of 187 nations on the UN's Gender Inequality Index, while Sri Lanka prides itself on being the first Asian nation to allow universal suffrage in 1931, along with a female representation of 4% in the highest tier of governance. In recent years, it has failed to improve on its record and increase female representation to at least 6%. Female representation in Sri Lanka's apex legislative body, the Parliament, has dropped lower than 5% at present, in contrast to 5.8% in 2010, while European nations boast female representation of around 30%. Sociological experts have highlighted the need for women in Sri Lanka to be safeguarded from the domestic violence and to be treated with dignity and respect, especially against a backdrop of compounding socio-economic woes.
Women have participated in the fast unto death in Valsapugala, organized demanding a managed wild elephant reserve in the area be gazetted.
Farming communities in Valsapugala launched a satyagraha initially on the 18th of January. Since their demands were not accommodated by the authorities, they have decided to launch a second fast unto death. Two females also joined the protest today in support of their cause. Various factions have expressed support for the Satyagraha campaign organized by agrarian organizations, including the Valava Left Bank Joint Agrarian Organization.
මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ඉල්ලීම් වලට කන් දෙන්නේ නැතුව බීරියාරි වගේ නිශ්ශබ්දව ඉන්න නිසා අද අහිංසක දුප්පත් ගොවි ජනතාවට සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙනවා මේ වගේ පාරට බහැලා අරගල කළා මේ වගේ මාරාන්තික ප්‍රවාසයකට යන්න.
Meanwhile, Tikri border in India saw a steady stream of tractors and cars ferrying women from Punjab and Haryana all through yesterday to mark the International Women's Day. Thousands of women farmers are expected to be present at the three protest sites today. Views were expressed by ruling and opposition factions regarding the report of the Presidential Commission investigating the April 21st attacks.
කොමිසමෙන් දුන්න යම් වාර්තාවේ සඳහන් කරුණු පිළිබඳව පෞද්ගලික මට්ටමේ මට යම් ගැටලු සහගත තත්ත්වයන් තියෙනවා.
Personally, I have certain issues on the content produced in the report of the Presidential Commission that probed the April 21st attacks. However, if this report seeks to save specific individuals, it's not fair. There is no accurate report on the root cause of the issue and the people who were involved. I can state this from a personal standpoint.
ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ කියන එක පිළිබඳව පෞද්ගලික මට්ටමේ මට ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න තියෙනවා.
පාස්කු ප්‍රහාරයට අක්මුල් ගිය සම්බන්ධ වෙච්ච කට්ටිය ওই දෙපැත්තෙම ඉන්නවා.
Those who were involved in the Easter attacks are also on the sidelines. By appointing a commission, the truth behind the attacks or the identity of the mastermind cannot be identified. This government and the previous government cannot provide justice to the people who were affected. We support the Black Sunday movement. There has to be an opposition against this. However, Sunday alone is not enough. Opposition should be raised on all 365 days. Now the government is in a place, even though they came into power by prompting various emotional stories.
කළු වෙච්ච ආණ්ඩුවක් බාටපත් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
The Presidential Commission that probed the April 21st attack was appointed by the former president. The attack took place while UNP was in power. If the people who are present at the commission are concealing information, there is no value in bringing them. That's why the Criminal Investigation Department exists. The investigation should be restarted. That is our stance.
එතන අපි ඉන්නවා. ඉන්දියාව ඉල්ලන්නේ නැති බලහත්කාර.
They are trying to give away certain things to India even without a request from India because India is aware of the reality behind the April 21st attack. That is what we saw in the past. Certain ministers are also saying the same thing. We can see that this government is betraying the country to conceal the reality behind the April 21st attack. On one hand, they are allowing them to politically influence in various matters, and on the other hand, India asked for the East Container Terminal, but now they are trying to give them the West Container Terminal.
Minister of Education Professor G.L. Pieris said All schools in the provinces except the Western Province will be reopened on Monday, the 15th of March.
We will commence schools on the 15th of March. It is a recommendation of the Ministry of Education that classes of all grades in the Western Province are ready to be reopened. We are ready to open schools in the Colombo, Kalutara, Gampar districts. Steps for that are underway. The final decision regarding this will be taken by the health authorities. We request the approval of the Director General of Health. We are expecting his final decision within 2 days. If we get the approval, we will be able to open schools in the Western Province along with schools in other areas on the 15th.
The final ceremony of the Wanita Bimana 2020 program will be held today at the Nelumpokana Mahinda Rajapaksa Auditorium. NDB Bank is a proud sponsor of Wanita Bimana 2020 organized by Newsfirst. The program was implemented throughout the year from all corners of the country while courageous women were recruited from remote villages. All measures are taken for the final event of the Wanita Bimana 2020 program to be held this afternoon. We now cross over to Portia Hitiarachi for the latest update. Portia.
A very good afternoon to all our viewers. I'm currently reporting to you from the Nelumpokana Theatre where the Sri Lanka Wanita Bimana 2020 award ceremony will be held later today. Now NDB Bank together with Newsfirst launched this program aimed at rewarding the female achievers of the country. Now this program also focuses to strengthen women by empowering them. So do stay tuned as we will be broadcasting the event live at 3 p.m. And for the Newsfirst team, I'm Yuki Portia reporting to you from the Nelumpokana Theatre.
And that's a wrap of this edition of Lunchtime News. For the Newsfirst team, I am Azra San. Thank you for watching. Take care.